Deidre from our Upcycled Life, and today I have a fun DIY for you. When I'm out at yard sales and thrift stores, I always look for the 1970s salad bowls. You know, the little ones or even the big ones. I always pick them up. And I also always look for wooden candlesticks. And I love to make them into decor bowls to just display around your house, or they make really fantastic gifts. So today I'm going to do a step-by-step tutorial so you can learn how to make one for yourself. If you like DIYs, thrifting, repurposing, you've come to the right place, and we'd love to have you follow along. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for all notifications so you don't miss any great content. Okay, let's get started. This is a candlestick in a bowl that I found at a thrift store, and this is what I'm going to use for today's project. I'm going to glue it together, and the best glue to use for these projects is E6000. You can find it on Amazon, Michael's, probably Hobby Lobby. I'll put a link in the description so you can find it. You want to put a liberal amount on the top that you're going to glue to the bowl. It adheres really well and won't come apart after you let it sit for 24 hours. Make sure you have it centered in the bowl. Measure it before you put it in there to find the center point so you can put the candlestick right in the center so it's not lopsided after it dries. Okay, so it's now dried for 24 hours, and I'm going to take my beeswax stick and just rub it all around the edges, anywhere where if it was really old it would age from people picking it up or weathered marks. And I just use it really liberally to rub it all over those spots. Now we're ready for our first coat of paint. I'm going to use my homemade chalk paint. It's a really super simple recipe. I'll put the link in the description so you can see how I make it. And I'm just going to liberally coat the whole bowl and the candlestick with this black chalk paint. Okay, now the first coat of the black chalk paint has dried thoroughly, and now I'm going to use the Vaseline painting technique. And I'm just going to take a little bit of Vaseline on my finger and just put it on any of the high spots on the bowl where over the ages it would have worn off, the paint would have worn off and made it kind of see through the different layers of paint. And I just take it on all the high spots and just put a little dab, so when I sand it, it'll take it back to the black paint. Make sure you watch right to the end of the video because I've got a few pictures of other bowls that I've made to give you just some inspiration for you to make some of your own. I'm being pretty liberal with this Vaseline because I want to make it look really chippy and really rustic when I sand it down. Okay, now we're ready to put on our first coat of my white chalk paint. And once again, I'll put the link in the description so you can get the recipe that I use to make all of my chalk paint. And I'm just going to be really liberal with this, just really coat it on nice and thick so it gives it a real layered look all over. I'm not really fussy about this. If there's little bits and pieces that are not covered, that's fine. Just paint away. Now we're ready for the second coat of the white chalk paint, and once again just put it on really liberally all over the whole piece. Okay, I've let this dry thoroughly overnight, and now we're ready to sand. And when I'm sanding, it's going to, wherever I put the Vaseline, it's going to take the white paint off right down to the black. And when I get to the black, and that's where I had put some beeswax, it's going to take it right down to the wood color. So I'm actually going to get the three colors showing through. So I'm just going to sand away. I'm using a really coarse sanding block. This is actually 60 grit, and it makes it really look rough and chippy. Okay, now we're ready to put the graphics on. I made these graphics in PicMonkey, and you always have to remember to reverse your text when you're using this method, and I find the best results are with a LaserJet printer. So you're going to take your Mod Podge. I like using the Mod Podge matte finish for this technique, and you're just going to coat a thin coat on the graphic and then place it in the bowl. Make sure it's centered where you want it and press it down firmly, and you want to make sure you get out all of the air bubbles and all the little wrinkles, and make sure it lays nice and flat to dry. I've let this sit overnight to dry, and now we're ready to take off the paper. So you just want to dampen it with a wet rag, and you don't want it soaking wet. You want to just dampen it enough so you can just start to see the lettering through, and then you just rub away, and you rub all of the paper off until you have just the lettering left on the bowl. This takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of just time, but make sure the biggest trick is to make sure that you don't get it too wet. If you get it too wet, you can actually rub off the graphics also. So just take your time, and as soon as all the paper's rubbed off, you'll have a beautiful graphic. Okay, now we're ready to seal it. I like using this Vaseline polyacrylic matte finish sealer. I use it on almost all of my projects. It just seals it really nice to a smooth finish and makes it easier to dust, and it's a beautiful finish. And there you have a beautiful decor bowl to display in your home.